Port Arthur EDC regular meeting. Today is Monday, March the 7th, 22. We're calling this meeting in order at 6 o'clock. May I have a roll call? Crystal? Here.
Hello, this is Austin Beck calling in.
We're here.
Alrighty, I'm listening.
Here.
I'll be there in about 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here. Okay, please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Ms. Raymond, would you please?
Father God, we come once again thanking you for many blessings. Thank you for allowing us to be able to attend another board meeting. Glad that you give us the strength and the power to do the best that we can be for our city. We thank you for our new CEO and that you bless her in a mighty special way to help her to be the best that she can be for the city of Port Arthur. All these blessings we ask in your son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All received copies of the minute of the following board meeting. Are there any questions?
So moved.
The motion passed. Minutes. I'd like to welcome our new CEO, Jessica Carpenter. Jessica, do you have anything to say or a few words, please?
Thank you so much for having me here. Finally, I'm delighted to be here and grateful to be here. I hope you do see that we will make some minor changes over the months to come with each meeting. I just want to deliver a very consistent product for you when it comes to your agenda packet and how we deliver all of the presentations before you. So I hope you like it. Please feel free to give me feedback in what you would like to see tweaked and changed. I do like a professional decorum as far as from staff presentation level and what your deliverable is. So thank you.
Okay. Under communications, we had the following communications: Small Business Development Center 2022 Annual Small Business Award, June the 14th, 22. Jessica, you have anything on that one? Comments?
I'll defer to staff for this. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. The Small Business Development Center at Lamar is part of the Texas Gulf Coast Network, and they are having their 2022 Annual Small Business Awards. And so the communication you have in your packet is an invitation to become a sponsor, for the EDC to be a sponsor. Anywhere from buying one ticket to a table of 8, and the event will take place on June 14th at the Pompano Club in Port Neches. So the communication is just to inform the board of the event so that you guys may decide to attend as a group or as an individual should you desire to do so.
Any comments?
Yes. Is the director is going to come and talk to us about the SBDC and what they are doing, their strategic plan, anything of that nature? Are we going to be?
We definitely can invite her to be.
Yes, I would love to see that and have a conversation with her to see what the strat plan is and what some of the things they may be trying to participate and or organize for the local area. Thank you.
Anything else?
So are we going to sponsor, or are we just going to do individual tickets if we want to go?
Whatever
Would be
you
the
think.
question.
What you think, Ms.
I mean-
Raymond?
I think since it is a small business development project, and of course, we're all about building Port Arthur, that I think we should go as a group.
Okay. Get a motion and a second?
The sponsor at what level?
You what?
Indicate what level of sponsorship you guys wish.
What you think, Ms. Raymond?
I guess 8. Let's go big. Platinum sponsor.
Well,
Table of 8. We got 8 people, right?
we actually got 7, I think, right? Unless the CEO wants to go.
I would say,
Well, I hope she would come.
yeah, 8.
Let's go with 8.
All right,
I'd be delighted to go if there was a seat for me, so thank you.
all right.
8 it is.
Okay. I move we make a motion that we will purchase the platinum sponsor for our organization.
Second.
Motion carries. Oh. Moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. Next would be the speaker. We'll have the staff, the first report is the Workforce Development Program report. Renata?
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I'm going to start this evening talking about our CDL program. Last month, I know that Dr. Stafford came and addressed each of you face-to-face, and he actually brought you guys up to date on the updates with the Federal Motor Safety Carrier Administration. Of course, I'm pretty sure he informed you guys that it went live February 7th of 2022. They had been out of compliance for a while, but it was mandated by the state of Texas that they had to get in compliance. He did reach out to me. I know he did a thorough presentation, but he did reach out to me via email on February 17th with a recap, and would like to once again extend that invite to the board to have, like, I guess you guys come in and have a more intimate meeting with you guys to go more in depth on what it is that Lamar is trending towards. And with that being said, in your packet, he also provided me with the breakdown of that email. And if you guys turn to the second page, you'll see that he has the class broken down with the theory component, which is the written component, the endorsement, which I'm pretty sure he talked about the hazmat and all that information last month, and then the behind the wheel costs and the total cost. Up front, the cost would be cheaper, but on the back end, it will be a little bit more expensive depending on what it is the actual resident is trying to take. CDL with a hazmat, CDLB with a hazmat. Ms. Carpenter and I, we have spoken about that. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on our plans and what we plan to do, or are you okay with just presenting this right now?
I think it's fine to be presented as what is on written word right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So pretty much this is the actual written component, and like I said, if you guys would like to meet with him to go more in depth, if you could get with Joni, and we can actually get a couple of dates out there and kind of poll everyone and see everyone's availability.
I can brief the board before that meeting.
Questions for Renata?
I do have a question. You said that it'll be cheaper if you paid it up front, and it would be more if you on the back end?
So let me
What'll be the
rephrase it. So pretty much, like, I know last year we were in conversations with Lamar, and we paid 50-50. So we paid half up front for the Class A or the Class B and half upon completion. This time around, it's kind of like you're not putting the bulk of the money out in the front end. The bulk of the money is coming out on the back end.
Okay.
So that's something to think about.
Okay.
And like I say, moving forward, once we get more information and he meets with you and Ms. Carpenter, get you guys up to,
So would it be what would like be the like the difference between the two. That's what I basically was trying to.
So basically, this particular, the reorg, basically allows them to have an endorsement. So before, it was like you get a Class A as a carrier and that's it. This one is allowing them to actually have a dump truck certification with the hazmat on top of it,
Okay.
if that makes any sense. Whereas before, it was just a basic CDL certification. Yes, sir.
Set?
Yes. We have the different courses and stuff listed here. The only question I would have is, why is it that it depends on what they want? It seems like if we talk about what they want, we end up in a situation where we have individuals going into, all of them going in here, where the cost might be up here, whereby some of them is down here. So actually, it's like an open blank check. If we don't know how many people we're going to be funding for any particular cycle or class, it's like establishing an open book.
Well, in the past, what has happened is you have some that come to us and they want just a Class B certification. You have some that want just a Class A. It just depends on sometimes what they're going towards as far as employment.
Okay. Well, how does that work with us? We allocate X amount of money for training, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So-
And we give them the opportunity to choose if they would like a Class A or a Class B,
Okay, so
they
how,
being the citizen.
okay, so how do we monitor? Do we determine how many or when it's cut off or what?
Well, no, actually, every fiscal year, we're allocated a certain amount of monies. So once that money is dispersed and dispensed, and once it's gone, we don't have any more money to actually put that particular citizen through the class. But that has really never happened before. We've always allocated enough money to be able to allow citizens of Port Arthur to go and get a Class A or a Class B CDL certification.
Okay, thank you.
And these are the types of things that I would like to brief you on before we do meet with the organization, so we can discuss some of the finer points and see what your professional opinion would be moving forward on how we allocate these resources, as well as some information that I have is a part of the industry and who provides this training also.
Yeah, you know, my only concern was that you put so much in the budget and you have so much for training, but when you have different levels of training costing different amounts of money, you know, I just want to know. So if you tell me that we put this much money in training and that people apply for no matter which level, once we have reached the money that we have placed in that, then we turn it off, and that's not a problem, that's not a concern, because we'll always be within the budget, you know, as long as we know that. And that's the only question I had. I just want to know how we ensure that we don't let more students enroll in training than we allocated funds for that particular year.
Right.
Correct, and I also think that we do need to talk about a little bit of a check and balance system,
Let's go.
because some students drop out, some students fail. The hazmat endorsement is not easy. We do want to encourage and promote it, but we also want some assurities that these grant dollars are not just being frivolously wasted. So I would like to brief you guys on those points.
That'll be great, 'cause
That'd be great.
that was my concern.
Okay.
That was it for me too.
Yes.
That was my concern.
Somebody drop out.
One thing on this, before February the 1st, the cost was reasonable. They have went way up. In the budget for this year, do we have the old costs, or did you put the new, or are we going to be able to revise for the new cost?
Currently, we have the old cost that was actually established on last fiscal year. And so, this fiscal year. And so we went with the same amount that was allocated the prior year. So moving forward, Jessica and I, we have been in conversation about that as well. Moving forward, we will have to probably put a cap on how many people actually partake in the program.
So it's going to probably be way less people at this cost.
Yes.
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 And you don't know with current conditions, it may increase again because of the
Yes.
oil prices. So.
Correct.
There's a
Just-
lot of variables to discuss.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, come with the socioeconomic considerations we got going on with gas
Yes.
and this stuff overseas and all this stuff, I'm quite sure
Yeah.
that price is gonna go up.
Right, considering they have to drive these large vehicles to train.
Yeah, so we'll look for the additional information.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Renata, one more thing, and you might get, are you finished?
No, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not done.
Okay.
Okay, just want to give you guys up to date. Currently enrolled, we have 16 students that began the February class, which started, of course, last month on February 7th. As of tonight, we actually have 7 students that are actually partaking in the March class. So a total year-to-date is 23 students in our CDL program. Also, I wanted to provide you guys with a little information. I didn't provide it in your packet, but I have it on hand here. But last year, fiscal year 21-22, out of all the people that actually went through our program, we had 17 out of the 26 that are actually employed. So 65% of the people that actually went through our program have jobs. So our return on our investment is actually 50%. Is over 50%. So that's a good return on our investment. So that means they're utilizing it.
To give you some background on that ROI, with coming on board, my important emphasis to staff is everything that we promote, everything that we put down, and every dollar that we put outward, we need an ROI on it. And that has to be tracked in a quantitative perspective as well as qualitative. Obviously, we're trying to enrich our community with employment programs and opportunities, but we do need an analytical quantitative analysis for that. And as we know, college retention rates are much lower than 65%. So I do believe the certification program does show a success rate at succeeding at a 65% graduation. We will see year over year, but I do believe that we could probably even improve that ROI if we work together to, like I said, put in some check and balance measures in the system.
All righty. Also, I think last month, I was actually briefed. I think one of the board members had asked about our TWC, our pool of actual citizens that we actually have in the city of Port Arthur. And I just wanted to bring you guys up to date. I will let you guys know that that information is provided to us quarterly here, and I cannot provide you with an actual breakdown of every citizen in Port Arthur because I can't give you their information. But if you look at the bottom, it's kind of small. I've blacked it out, and I will let you know that we have a ton of people that are in that TWC pool, from pipe fitters to electricians to laborers, welders, carpenters, riggers, painters, iron workers, operators, and more. So if you guys would like to come by my office, and actually it's password protected, I can actually go into that system and actually pull that information and showcase all the citizens that we have that are actually out there either seeking employment or, yes, Mr. Smith.
I think that was me asked that
Yes.
question. Now I remember now. So they have removed the duplication
Yes.
from the Excel document, so we're not seeing the same name twice in 2 different categories, right?
No, the last one I got, I think, is pretty much up to date.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Digital Workforce Academy.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I want to catch you before you move on there.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The Texas Workforce Commission and being able to enter into that system, okay? I know that we had worked out a system when I was on council with refineries, subcontractors hiring Port Arthur residents. And when we done our contracts agreement, we let them understand they don't get a abatement credit unless they're actually hiring local people. And because we never had a way of tracking who they hired, and we didn't have access to go in there and say, let's see your personnel file. That's how this came about for the EDC to be able to monitor that hiring. Okay, so the whole purpose of this on this workforce is, are we actually talking, are you talking with the refineries, whoever their PR person is, and having them to understand about the first source, when which they tell you if they're looking for X amount of pipe fitters, you in turn enter the workforce base, and at that time, you say, yes, I have these number of people that we can refer to you, and these people are referred to that subcontractor, and we monitoring that. And, you know, if we just do the workforce, have a system there, and we know how many people are in these skills that's unemployed, that's only something that happens every day. But if we're looking at what these contractors are asking for, and if the contractors are not talking with the EDC to try to find people to fulfill some of their things, that's something that the EDC has to direct back to the council and let the council know, you know, we're reaching out to the refineries, and evidently they're not talking to contract because we're not getting any subcontractors requiring any positions such as pipe fitters, such as welding. Because when it comes contract time and the council have to do agreements again, they're going to be able to tell you, you're not getting any reduction in your taxes because you didn't hire Port Arthur residents. Your subcontract did not hire them. So right now, the refineries have to know if you are getting any requests from subcontractors.
That information I haven't been privy to. However, myself and Ms. Carpenter, we've actually been in talks about that as well. So
We are devising to develop some programs so we have direct communication with industry and not waiting on WorkSource Solutions and the entities that provide the list of applicants that are looking for jobs at said given time. We do want to develop the program directly with industry, and I have done that previously, as well as what they need for training. Then we can be the liaison, the triangle liaison, so we're directly communicating with industry, and then we're directly communicating with the training opportunities that WorkSource Solution has.
I understand, and I just brought this out because you knew, but I happen to be on council, and I know why this particular portion of it was initiated as a tracking device for the city, so that when they're doing contracts, they know whether a refinery warrants a reduction in taxes because they actually hired Port Arthur residents, and the EDC at the time said, yes, we can track that and we can use our system and we could be the mechanism for it. And that's what I was asking, because it's not like this program is established. It's something that the EDC had agreed to do. And I'm listening, but I didn't see anything addressing that, dealing with industry and subcontractors, because these people you're talking about, pipe fitters, welders, they're the ones that are needed out there. And all these expansion shutdowns and turnaround that's going on, that's where the jobs are right now. And if the subcontractors are not reaching out here to see how many you have, then the next question is, have we talked with the refinery to say, you know, your subcontractors are not reaching out to us, and we don't know what it is, but we just want you to know that we're supposed to be the monitoring element for your negotiation when your abatements come across. You know, and I'll talk more with Ms. Carpenter about it, but this was a critical thing that the city initiated for contract abatement talks, and we asked the EDC could they do it, and at the time, the EDC agreed that yes, we can do that. So that needs to be happening. And if we don't know how to ensure it happens, then maybe we need to go back to the table with the city But we got to have that done.
No, I actually have done this previously from where I just came from with all subcontractors, just like Turner Industries, GIS, all of the subcontractor systems that provide the scaffolding, insulation, pipe fitters, you name it, for providing to industry. And there is direct communication from the city, and you do coordinate with TWC and job training programs. And I believe it is actually TWC that gives the reports that says who is actually meeting those numbers. So I can definitely vet with the city if they are receiving the information. If not, I will definitely get that program implemented immediately. And it is not difficult to get subcontract communications going with industry at all.
Well, my suggestion would be that you get with the city and you find out what was instituted and what they think we are doing here. And if we're going to change it, that's fine, just so that they know. But right now, it's not about creating or reinventing the wheel, because the wheel has already been invented. You could always better a system, you could change a system, but right now it's supposed to be a system in place. And that's what I was listening for, and I didn't hear that. So, we don't have to keep this in mind. It's something that you all going to have to check on, and the next time we get this report, we could have some type of clarification rather than a long discussion, I believe.
Okay. Just to piggyback on what you said, I will totally get that information. That information was never matriculated down to me, but we will work together and we'll get that done.
Okay, thank you.
Digital Workforce Academy, pretty much made contact with the coordinator, and program is successfully ongoing. Digital Workforce, of course, I explained to you guys, they decided to split the training program or the monies into 2 sessions. Last year, it was very successful. I will tell you, year to date, one of the young men was actually placed. They have reported that he is actually working for Quality Labor Management, making $21 an hour. Session 2 placement and students were sent to me on last week, and we currently have 5 Port Arthur residents enrolled. I have also submitted that invoice, and I'm awaiting a few pending documents to come across my desk in regards to that.
Madam, in regard to digital workforce, for the balance of the candidates they may have still seeking opportunities, what type of feedback system are the candidates giving back to digital workforce and the challenges they're facing trying to find employment?
Actually, like I said, the first class just went through. We only have one that was actually placed through the last class.
Right.
I haven't had a chance to actually go and actually visit the location since my first initial time going, but I do plan on going across there to check on them. But I will tell you that 3 of the 5 actually completed the program with the 60% ROI.
Okay.
1 out of 5, of course, was placed at a job, so 20% placement.
Okay.
So my goal is to try to grow that program as well. And me and Ms. Carpenter, we've actually had our one-on-one, and we've spoken about that. And I'm in the process of also, we're branding now and trying to actually get that component in our marketing strategy. So that's what we are right now with
Okay,
that.
thank you.
So it does lead back to everything that Mr. Doucette was referring to. It is my duty to get up to speed with return on investment, and that's what you were talking about. The TWC does provide the reports to the city as to who is meeting compliance percentages of residential citizens employed, but we, as the EDC, need to know what our return on investment is at every level with every program, and that's what I was referring to. So yes, we are working on it. It is not just enough to say we got one person placed.
Also, our scholarship program, 2022 is successfully ongoing and students are dedicated. I will let you know that we did lose 2 recipients. One was due to GPA, and one she actually maintained an excellent GPA, but she decided to transfer to a university. So, of course, her scholarship was forfeited. All students have been updated and scholarship monies have been dispersed. Myself and Ms. Kathleen, who is the counselor at Memorial High School, we actually, she emailed me on last week because she wanted some historical data, and I have that information on hand. And I will let you know that since the inception of our scholarship program, we've had a 40% completion. We've had 2 students to actually graduate. One like I told you guys last year, is actually obtained his process operator certification. He's employed at Valero Refinery. And another young lady, she also finished, and she also is employed. I will say we have a 60% still enrolled and 80% ROI of the people that are still in, well, let me say that again. From class of 2020, we have a 60% enrollment, and from 2021, we have an 80% enrollment. So I'm kind of giving you a breakdown of who we have retained and who have kind of went on. So it's working. Also, I wanted to inform the board that I have also reached out to our school counselors in regards to our YEP program as well. And this year, we also did a component. If you look in your packet, I just gave you guys a snapshot showcasing what the City of Port Arthur actually has on their website. Public Information Officer Cheryl Gibbs did a good job actually putting this component together so that everybody in the City of Port Arthur that have a young youth that is a Port Arthur resident can actually go online. And I have received, believe it or not, some online applications this year compared to what I've received in the past. So they're utilizing the online tool. In conclusion, I just wanted to let you guys know that I have met with Ms. Carpenter. We've had a couple of one-on-ones, and branding and image and marketing is really big, and that's something that we're going to actually dive in this year. And we've started off with our branding component, getting everyone branded in the office from our signature all the way up to emails and everything that's going out citywide. And so also we've actually reached out to a couple of companies in regard to website design. And I've also talked with Cliff at the City of Port Arthur, and we're working with him to get something geared up to push out into the community and worldwide. Also, I've met and spoken with some people in regards to data analytics. As you guys know, in the past, we've currently used Shamir Analytics, but we want to kind of go out and see other entities and what they may have to offer, and we'll go from there. As far as being charged also, I've been charged with the economic inventory. So my goal is to go out to every city councilman's district and actually do a whole, I guess you can say, SWOT analysis of everything that we have going on in our community, from what's in District 1 to what's in District 2, what's in District 3, and so forth. So that concludes my report for tonight. I know it was kind of lengthy, but if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
I'm extremely pleased to see about the branding and the image marketing campaign and things you got, because we talked about this a couple of years ago. And this is so critical to addressing the talent pool that we have now, especially the mediums in which they're looking at this information. And I'm looking forward to some real good stuff coming out of this. Okay. But thank y'all for pushing this forward.
Thank you. So just to give you a little bit of the framework that we are working within. So we have to start small. So we started internally with branding our closer, our email closers, or something small. So we all look consistently the same. We also branded our headers. Any document that goes out needs to have a consistent header. I couldn't even believe that the letter of intent we were sending out didn't even have an EDC header on it. So we're doing small steps, but here's the big picture. In order for the EDC to understand where to fill in the gaps on the workforce, where to fill in the gaps from industry, retail, commercial, business, we need to brand and market ourselves first. We need to come as a package. The data analytics provides the tools for us that makes us understand where we rank high, where we fall short, and where we might be able to be competitive. In order to solicit more diversified economic perspectives in the long run, we have to go to these trade shows branded. That will incorporate the city as well. We cannot go siloed. We need the city council and city manager to be branded with us in their brand in order for us to go as a unified team. I've been to the trade shows in Las Vegas. I have been doing this for a long time with other jurisdictions, and starting first with doing your branding, website image, marketing, and going with your data analytics. You need real-time analysis in order to understand where you are soliciting when you go out there, where our workforce is having gaps, where we're falling short. Exactly like Mr. Doucette said, we need to identify the scope of the job training that we need to coordinate with the SBDC, with Lamar, with many entities that I have done this previously. So we're not missing points, and we also need to encourage the success rates, the return on investment, and that is something that we are incorporating with our contracts and our grants, and every dollar that goes out, they will be signing a media release, so we can utilize all of that wonderful profile on our marketing campaigns as well. So we're starting small, and we will keep incorporating you as we move along in this process.
I do have one question now. With the economic inventory, you said you're going to be going to each district. Would you go like to one district at a time? Because it seems like there'll be a lot of
It's gonna be
information, so
one
just
district, yeah, at a
one
time.
district at a time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, because I'm gonna say, that seemed like there'll be a whole bunch of
No,
information,
no.
and it'll be too much, to hear at one time, so you'll just focus on one district, let us know what's going on in that district, and then jump to the next district.
Correct, and we obviously know the majority of what's going on in each district, but we want to see maybe some infill has happened, maybe something has popped up that stands out that wasn't there 2 years ago. So we want to highlight things, success stories.
That's good.
Not is the councilman going to go for that district with you?
No, this is just a Renata's windshield survey. She's literally just going out there and making a generalized assessment of the majority is this, here's what's new, here's what we see as maybe trends.
Be good.
And we will definitely take it to that council district representative for sure, post-survey.
Any other questions?
I have one question. I heard about the programs regarding industrial, but I had spoke to Renato about bringing back the CNA program due to the fact that we have so many elderlies. Our elderlies, I guess it's very touching to me because I'm blessed to still have both parents, but they are elderly, and I would like to see if we can bring that program back as well. Thank you.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
We can definitely always use more medical.
I was fixing to say that was one of the most successful things that we had going. I don't know, I know Miss Elmore would do this, and I haven't had too much of it, but that is a profession you don't never have too many of, and they're gonna find work. If they get certified, they got work.
And right now is the prime time because they're making a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, even if we can't do that now because of budget, but next year or whenever, that's something we need to incorporate. You get a job quicker in that field than you would truck driving and other stuff. We need nurses.
Absolutely agreed. It would also help for us to show that we're diversifying our economy by bolstering up a different employer sector. Yes.
Nana, one other thing is your scaffolding program. What happened to that?
So the scaffolding program was actually taken out of our funding for this fiscal year. However, Jessica and I have also talked about that, and that's something dear to her, and we're going to try to incorporate that again as well. Go out and market it more because it really wasn't marketed the way it should have been marketed.
I don't want this to get. It just, I mean, those type topics is something I can't help but comment on. We have got to put the training based on the job requirements in the community. What they need and what they use in this community is what we should be training people on. So when they do complete it, their chances of employment is greater than something else. We need to get those high demand, and that's a high demand skill.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We do know the scaffolding positions are in high demand, and so I'm not sure why they segued away from that, but we will be bringing that back.
Okay, because every time you pass a scaffolding company, there's big
The
signs
signs are,
hiring.
yes.
Anything else? Thank you, Renata.
Thank you.
We move to Crystal. You ready for the program compliance report?
Good evening, Board. I'm sorry. I'm losing my voice, so I apologize to you all when it goes in and out. Okay, short report for you guys today as far as the contracts go. Standard Alloys, they are one of the newest companies there in the business park. They did purchase 22 acres and have built their facility and do plan on still expanding that facility in the future. They have submitted their payroll requirements for 2021, which total $488,850.72 to Port Arthur residents. They do receive $1 credit for every $6 in Port Arthur payroll, so they keep accumulating that credit, and what that means is if for any reason they were to default, they are able to apply those credits toward their incentive, so it reduces the amount that they have to pay back if they were to default on their incentive. Their total payroll to date is $519.10. So they met and exceeded their promised payroll of $665,808 over 3 years. So they are hiring Port Arthur. They're continuing to hire. And although they're not required to submit payroll after this year, they can still submit to receive credits toward their incentive. They do have to stay in the business park and in operation through 2023, and then we can close them out. Okay, Team Fabricators, they are over on Proctor Extension and Main Avenue. They have submitted their first payroll report for their contract. The total is $479,555.10. They also receive credits. They receive $1 credit for every $3.36 in payroll to Port Arthur residents. They are meeting their payroll requirements, and they will submit payroll for the next 2 years. They are required to submit payroll for the next 2 years. Total, they have to meet $1,088,880 in Port Arthur payroll over the term of their agreement. Clifford Distilling, that is one of the newest contracts that you all approved more recently. Their total incentive has been paid out. If you'll recall, we do pay out their incentives on the front end, and then they have to meet performance requirements as per their agreement for a certain amount of years. So now he will be obligated to meet those milestones, which include Port Arthur payroll, as well as taxing and staying in operation for a certain amount of years. Okay, resolutions that you all have sent over to the City Council for approval. An agreement with Holland Gas and Park Enterprises. Those have both been approved by City Council and have been signed off by the principals. So they will be starting their agreement compliance soon. Okay, and in other business, I just wanted to let you all know I had the opportunity to speak at the Chamber of Commerce's Contractors Group meeting in March. And it went very well. It was a great opportunity to network and really get our information out there. A lot of businesses didn't know that we're here. They don't know the resources that we have. So it was great to be able to inform everyone of what we're doing, what we've been doing, and what we're continuing to do. So that was really nice to do. The Solco Group, which is our latest tenant here at 501 Proctor Street, they have moved in. They are a short-term tenant, but he is up on the 3rd floor now, so we are at full capacity at this time. Okay, and the International Economic Development Council, they have been doing a COVID-19 recovery study with different communities. They chose Port Arthur as one of 8 communities to do this study with. George and I had the pleasure to complete that 3rd interview about a month ago, and hopefully soon we should be receiving a final report on their findings from that study with our community input and the other 7 communities. Okay, and of course I've got a couple of other projects that we're still working on, and those are on the agenda for discussion and consideration tonight. And that concludes my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Rachel, we're ready for your financial report.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
Tonight, I will give you the financials for the EDC as of February 28, 2022. Our projected revenue for fiscal year 2022 is $6,040,275. The actual revenue as of February 28, 2022 is $3,774,540. Our unrealized revenue for fiscal year 2022 as of February 28, 2022 is $2,965,735. Our current expenditures as of February 28, 2022 is $1,298,578, leaving us an excess of revenue as of February 28, 2022 of $4,741,697. Our debt service for fiscal year 2022 is $877,098. $365,457 is transferred in as of February 28, 2022, leaving us a balance of $511,641 to be transferred out for fiscal year 2022. Our current other uses and sources of funds as of February 28 is $1,183,600, which leave us a net change in fund balance of $2,680,999. Our estimated fund balance at the beginning of the year is $4,501,694, which will leave us a fund balance at the end of the year as of February 28, 2022 of $7,182,693. All the backup is at the back of this summary. If you have any questions or if you need to see anything specific, I'm in my office from Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. This will conclude my report. Are there any questions?
Mr. Doucette.
Rachel, when I was going over it, I didn't get the charts, the graphs. I got percentage.
Yes, sir.
What was the colors, what it stands for?
So the colors, if you look at your breakdown of your expenditures, here, let me get here. Mr. Doucette, so it's this breakdown here. So those are in the categories, like your salaries and benefits, supplies and materials, maintenance, contractual services. That tells you how much of each category is the percentage of each category. So if you look at, for instance, salary and benefits, well, that just has one, so let's see, yes. It'll tell you how much of it was for regular earnings, how much of that was for allowance, how much was that. You could actually see where the bulk of your budget is going to.
Salaries and benefits. I see blue.
And if you like...
I'll have to come by your office.
Yes, thank you.
I'm not going to hold everybody up.
Thank you so much. I'll be there from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I'll be glad to help you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Rachel? Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Board. Have a nice evening.
Jana, we're ready for the Community and Business Center report.
Good evening again. There's not much to report this month other than CTEX continues to work in the building. Jessica and I did have the opportunity to walk the press building, and she and I both agreed that there was no way they were going to meet that March 31st deadline. They have since sent another schedule with substantial completion around March 31st and finishing out the punch list around the end of April. So we have scheduled a meeting with the building official for the city of Port Arthur and our attorney as well. And I'm sure she'll discuss some things with you guys in executive session. We're also scheduling a meeting with the design team and the contractor after we meet with the building officials, just so we are, certain that we have all of our ducks in a row, and that so that we can just have a clear understanding of where things are. I believe Ms. Carpenter thinks the completion date will be a couple of months after March 31st, in her professional opinion. So again, I think that's all I need to say. In public, just know that we are meeting with a building official. We have recognized that there are some things in the building that they may need to do again before we accept. And then the architect will have to do a punch list, and they will have 30 days to complete it as per their contract. And Lamar is continuing to hold classes. They do have full access to all 3 of their classrooms now. DataVox is completing the installation of the last projector and the technology in that second classroom. On the co-working side, I went over there today, was a little disappointed. I only counted 5 workers. They had a lot of people taping and floating and preparing walls for paint. And the building is closed in now. The rooftop units are working, so they are getting it acclimated so they could begin the flooring installation. But again, that's not something that's gonna happen in the next 3 weeks. So we are having those tough meetings with the building official and following up with the design and contracting team. And I think past that, she and Mr. Garza will speak with the board about what your wishes will be in the future with regards to performance bonds or liquidated damages. And that's really all I have to report on tonight. If y'all have any questions.
Questions? Thank you. Ms. Carpenter, do you have a report?
Well, I didn't know if you wanted me to speak here, if you wanted to discuss in general closed for executive session, some of the formal details. I have met with Phil, the building official, pertaining to the press building as well as this building. So general maintenance for this building has been discussed, but I walked through the press building with Ms. Jana, and I do believe that there are some formalities that need to be discussed because we have received extended completion dates or substantial completion dates that have not been met previously. And after walking through the building, I earnestly, in my very experienced opinion, do not believe that the last given date of substantial completion is going to be feasibly met. I suggested to them, please be earnest with us and give us a date that we're all comfortable with, because if it is March 31st, I just don't see it happening, as well as if they get one more delay, it's absolutely not feasible. I said May, but even with May, if they have any more delays, which we know with market conditions, you do need to take that into consideration. That's not going to happen. Honestly, to be substantially complete and to be very well comfortable within the range, I would say July. With that being said, after walking through the building, there were some concerns from a structural standpoint that I wanted to discuss with Phil. Details, and I'm not sure, since they did close in the roof and started acclimating the structure, if the significant amount of sweating was relieved. There's some finite details that I would like to talk to you about in a closed session environment of my perception of what was happening with the conditions of what was the excess moisture on the adjacent side of the freezer wall. And I did brief Phil, and we both have the same conclusion that what might have been, the wall's closed in now. So there are some things that I'm coming on at the end of the line. When we look at the project management scheduler, there's no details. We don't have change orders. There was contingencies built into the budget. That doesn't matter. If there were significant changes, there should have been change orders, and I'm sure these gentlemen in the audience can definitely understand what I'm speaking on. I do believe that there was some oversight in the construction management and project management of that structure, and I come from a very extensive project management background, and it wouldn't have cut the mustard for me. So we can discuss how we move forward in closed session. As Jenna referred, I did meet with Phil, and we are meeting with legal because we have contracts set up for our vendors with things such as our data that will start to be activated. And if we can't activate them, we pay fines and penalties. And shouldn't we pass that along as punitive for the construction team? So those are the measures we'll talk in closed session.
Questions?
Oh, comment. I said in the last meeting, when I heard the report, I'm a firm believer in contracts. We sign it, they sign it. You're supposed to have it ready on this date, you have it ready on that date. You don't have it ready on that date, what does the contract says? No discussions. You signed it, we signed it. We don't have to babysit them. We don't have to tell them to work. She says she only went over there with 5 people working. You behind schedule already, and you only got like 5 people working. Well, that's why you behind schedule. We're not going to tell you when to send people, but don't complete it on time. Read the next part of the contract. Let's stick with the contract. Hold their feet to the fire.
And I do understand, I mean, the market conditions have been very volatile. Just a season ago, we were dealing with exuberant lumber prices. Trying to get the materials was such an influx because of the cargo containers out in the ocean, in various ports. We know all of that. We understand. There is understanding, and there is an understanding of delays, but I don't believe that there has been transparency and communication, as well as just general professional construction practices.
Other comments? Thank you, Jessica. We'll move now to unfinished business. Unfinished business, number 1 is to discuss the possible consideration a purchase agreement with John Crane Incorporated for the sale of approximately 2.1 acres in the Spur 93 Business Park. I'd like to move this to executive session.
Make a motion that we move it to executive session.
All?
Yes.
A vote? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next discussion is to discuss possible consideration entering into a contract for administration purposes for the city of Port Arthur.
Board, I would like to preface this that now under the new CEO as myself, I do have a intention on building bridges with the city. I do want to collaborate with the city. I have met with almost all of the department heads as well as the city manager. Some incredible opportunities will arise out of those meetings. As I aforementioned, I have already met with Phil, as well as Pam and Ron and Flochelle. So when we look at the administrative costs, and I know that you guys are looking at it just from a payroll perspective and an HR perspective, but I believe that the EDC would definitely be beneficial to pay the 6% in administrative costs. So therefore, it covers with me coming on board and having a bigger, wider, more communicative objective with the city. I believe that you'll find that that 6% still falls within the sum of about $133,000 and change, which is still the same offset as the emergency command square footage lease for the press building. So we will be putting both of these contracts in record of file. As I was briefed, the city was considering it a wash. Now, as long as we have these contracts, the money will be exchanged, and so everything is on the level. But I think that the 4.5% that was told to me was previously discussed in the prior meeting falls short of kind of what we're trying to do. We are trying to collaborate with the city, and we are trying to utilize and tap into that expert opinion of departments with what we plan to move forward with in our endeavors, especially with doing the downtown revitalization plan. I've already spoken to Pam extensively. We have some goals and objectives we want to tap into wholeheartedly, and we can't do that as a silo. We do need to do that as a team with the department heads, and I've already set that foundation in place by meeting with them and prepping them to say that I'm going to be coming back later with some actionable goals of their plans. So yeah, again, yes, they are providing an administrative service from a payroll and HR perspective to us that we do greatly need, but equally, I think the 6% will cover any additional communication and costs for trying to collaborate.
Well,
Any questions? Any motion?
yes, Jessica, you've done a good job of talking to them, but you need to talk to us also. We're the board. That's something that has not been discussed before you get here. It's glad to hear that you heard the other side. And you seem like you came to a conclusion, but you haven't heard this side on how it went back on there. It went back on there for the specific reason it wasn't a problem with the administrative fees. But when someone just tells you 6%, it doesn't tell us what you're actually doing, and that's what we asked for. And we should work with the city, and the city should work with the EDC, and we should all work for the betterment of Port Arthur. We got to give and we got to take in order to work together. But at some point in time, we have to understand our duties and our responsibilities. And as commissioners here, we're here to monitor and manage and make sure that the money is being appropriated right and used properly. And if we're going to give money or we're going to pay for something, we need to ensure that what we're giving and we're getting is actually the cost. And for some reason, every time we've talked about this, and I've been following even before I came on here, it's always been we paying for administrative fees. But no one has yet said what the fees are. What are you providing us? This percentage, we need to know it. We need to know, so we need to feel good about what we do. And when you say that 6% is good and we need to have a good working relationship, it's great. This EDC has been putting out $1 million plus every year since I can know of, probably about 2005 or 6, if we go back and check, with any areas like streets, whatever the city was having a problem meeting with the citizens, the EDC Board of Directors took it upon themselves to say, hey, we're going to help you all. We're going to provide you this money. It wasn't in our mission. If you look at the mission for this corporation, it's not fixing streets and parks. That's not the mission of this corporation. But the corporation also had the flexibility to at any time go to citizens and ask to spend money in a type B, which is undertake the streets and the parks. And this EDC has stepped up to the plate at times when it was the only one providing money. I can tell you, it was the only one providing money for streets at some time. $1 million a year. All the park renovations, $1 million. So when you say we work together as a team, let's look at a team. A team is when we both hitch up to the wagon and we both pull. Not one hitch up to the wagon and only one pull. So what I asked the last meeting wasn't nothing that if it was done, could not be just pulled up. And the reason I said that is because when this corporation sent a budget to the city council amended the budget, which is going to be another topic at some point, and put in $75,000 administrative fees, and then approved the budget without this board approving it. We'll get to that one, but it was $75,000 in administrative fees when the year started. And now, when you start discussing the space that they're going to get in the building and what we really can do to help them and how much it's going to cost them, all of a sudden, the administrative fees has got to be raised up to do a washout. So you see, that's what I have a problem with. You're giving me fees to wash out. And your explanation tonight is you're coming on board, you met everybody, and they said 6% is okay. Yes, it may be okay to you based on your conversation with them. As a board member, it's not okay with me because I take my job here seriously on ensuring that the money we spend, we account for it for citizens. Our relationship we have to build, but we also have a responsibility to ensure that we do it right. Now, my question is, what are we going to be paying for? And for us to review it so that we can look people in the eye and say, yes, we're getting $113,000 worth of services provided to us. I don't want to say it's a washout. I want to say that what we're paying for is what we're getting. And whenever you question the relationship between the EDC and the city of Port Arthur, you must take in consideration the amount of money that the EDC put out every year for the past year and currently right now. How much? 1 year, $1 million. So basically, if this board had never agreed to pay that $1 million, this corporation would have $1 million in its fund balance, and then all you got to pay is $113 or whatever thousand dollars out of $1 million, and you still got $900 and some thousand left. So when you talk about work it together, I don't think it get no better than when you go out and put $1 million out with someone and still willing to pay the administrative fees. All we're asking is, let's make sure that we pay for what we're going to get, and we're not paying to wash out no fees. I'm not going to accept washing fees.
So, Mr. Doucette, the breakdown does not wash out. So let me re-explain this. First of all, as a financial expert that I am, I will preface that you need to stay focused on the fiscal year that we're in. What was put on the table prior fiscal years obviously did not have a circle back financial loop to it on a return on an investment. If we wanted to balance the dollars for dollars, we needed to keep tracking that. So therefore, as I move forward, I will be tracking this. This system is not a wash. Let me explain it to you this way. I'm sure you're aware of general fund versus enterprise fund. So we as a 4A are basically enterprise funded with our half-cent sales tax. We must pay the city for services that they provide us. Equally, we need to charge them for any space or services provided. I was just having this conversation with Phil as well, that the Development Services Department is looking forward to the future of maybe becoming an enterprise fund. Their new building will then have to be feed. Every bill is just like, you know, your own budget is fee-based, and ours is tax-based. We get the 0.5% tax. So when we are looking at these administrative fees, we do have to pay the city for services provided. Equally, they need to pay the EDC for square footage lease. So it is not a wash. There is no such thing as a wash. We are two standalone entities when it comes to dollars and cents. And our accounting practices have to be in ethical standing to show how we exchanged the dollars and the contracts. So I was not referring to as it is a wash. I was referring to the prior conversation was that the council wanted it to look as a wash. Our investment is prudent. This is really something that is standard, and if we do not pay for the services such as human resources, the financial department, the accounting department, the purchasing department, the city attorney, I don't know how we will be able to continue our business practices. But equally, I do believe that we have discussed the lease agreement for the Emergency Command Center, and it's not just the straight $35. We have a data fee that they need to provide. We have a utility and common area fee that they need to provide. So we actually do not have the solid dollars for that leased space as of yet because we're not quite there yet.
Okay. Once again, most of what you said, I already know, I've already said. And in everything you said, you still haven't told me what they're going to be doing and how much it's going to cost. All you're telling me is that we pay fees. I know that. And when you say we must pay fees, now we're going to discuss the question I asked the attorney to find. Because the way I've read it, it said we may pay fees. And it also states that the city, we may pay the fees that a city charges for administrative fees. So I understand us having to pay fees. I want to know what. And we must be careful when we use phrases such as must or against the law when the law and everything that's written says may. May and must.
So historically, there was never tracking on the minutia level of what the city services were provided. That is upon us to be responsible for tracking the contingencies moving forward on what the city services are costing us. So we have no data to look back on. So I definitely will put in place all of the tracking measures for billable services.
You see, and that's what I'm saying. So now you're getting to the point whereby we are, and the reason we've been going back and forward here is because I've been tracking this even prior to getting on here, and everything I've said is a fact. But it's from what I know, not based on hearing what someone is telling me and then being in a position to make a decision, okay? So I understand you talk with the city, but I've been on this board since you came on board. And it has not been addressed to this board. Your feelings, your decisions are based on things that you bring before us, and we decide on. This happened to be an item tonight that we're going to be, we're supposed to have been discussing, and I don't see whereby we got the information I requested. So we could always remove it, and then if you want, you could bring us a presentation and let us all hear it and let us all agree, and then we can decide on. But decisions are made by the board. So I made a request.
Yeah, I think he has the answer of the attorney.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to discuss this in open or executive. It's up to y'all. I think
we got. I mean, this is an open thing.
Okay. The general reason why administrative services can't be provided for free by the city, and why the phrase "you must pay for them," we're not referring to a contractual language there. We're referring to a constitutional provision in the state constitution that basically says you cannot give out, you can't expend public funds for a private benefit. So generally, the city, if they provide services or give materials to any other entity, including the EDC, They can't just do that without getting something in return. Otherwise, it's an unconstitutional use of taxpayer funds. That works the same way for EDC, where you couldn't just let someone use EDC property or resources without, getting something in return in the form of a lease payment, something like that. There are exceptions to that, but that's the general, when you hear the phrase, the EDC is obligated to pay for those services, that's what it's referring to, is a.
Yes, I read the same thing you read. And it is also said that the city can require it, because the city has considerations too, because we put in money for Class Bs and we are Type A. We ask citizens to do that. So it's what she mentioned earlier. It's how we work together as a team to help one another. Not once have I ever stated that we should not pay the city, okay? And from what you're explaining to me, you're saying the same thing I said. The only exception is you're just telling me we got to pay them. And
Yes, you are free, in other words, to not pay them, but they would then be free to not
no,
provide those services.
no. What I mean is they charge for services, but they have to have something to show you what they're charging from.
And that's a separate issue. Again, we've discussed this in several board meetings now. We've talked about the idea of invoicing.
So my
or other-
suggestion from an expert financial opinion is if you don't want to do a percentage contractual basis, why don't we do a month-to-month service provide billing?
That's, again, I mentioned that before. It's never have been.
Because we don't have any history, yes.
Won't pay, but no one can ask me to approve paying someone where it's not let me know that, okay, you charge me for personnel. Oh, well, that's fair. That's reasonable. Okay, I understand it. We gonna take care of this for you in the financial area. See, because when you start talking about paying them for finance and stuff, you have to understand we have a full-fledged person here that do finances for us. So whatever the city do in the area of finance can't be that much more because we've got a person that we're paying a full salary. So if they say we're going to be paying fees for financial service, we need to know what financial service we're paying for and how much we're paying. That's all I keep saying. And if someone can't say that, then my question is, how did you determine this amount? We're not going to pay a percentage of employees' work. We pay for services rendered.
It would come out to be more.
And this is just, we've talked about this at several board meetings now.
Okay.
It depends on how you calculate it. So, like I said, this is something that we need to get resolved, and I've never been against paying it. But at the same token, I want every member of council to know that your budget got amended and you were charged a $75,000 administrative fee. And that was what it's supposed to have been for the year.
Corrections, according to her report, $175,000. October.
Oh,
100.
that's what it was? Golly, that's even worse.
It's
Okay.
inconsistency, so we have to find a way.
So basically, it's one of them deals whereby I have questions when you set a fee here, and then when you start doing business and you bring something else, all of a sudden this fee that you set is not the same fee. So now I'm thinking, well, how you determining the fee? How does the fee change? So if we see something, then we can see how the fee change, and that's something that no one is fighting this, but I don't see why this is so hard to do. No one is fighting paying these fees. No one said it ain't gonna be. I never said it, not from day one.
Mr. Doucette?
But I don't want lip service. I like to see it.
Before you came on, we had the services that they was charging us. Do you have the copy of that? Do you have a copy of that?
No, okay, they provide the services, and you all looked at the services?
Well, I was wondering if you have
I'm
one.
talking about the board. I'm not interested in that. I'm here, I came in on the back end. I'm not gonna make nobody start all over because
Yeah.
of me.
Oh, no,
I'm saying,
yeah.
did y'all have the list of breakdown? No. Okay, here's the board, okay?
Well, let me just tell you about this breakdown. When I went to the council, you was on council before. I know you.
But you know.
They're not
but-
going to give you any
Jerry.
breakdown.
Jerry, yes, they will.
No, they won't.
Okay, well, anyway, if they're gonna get fees, all they gotta do is tell us what they're charging us for. And like you said, there were breakdowns. Look, if there were breakdowns, and this board had looked at the breakdown, and this board approved those fees with that breakdown, I have no questions. I'm not here to try to change things or ask for something. I'm just here doing business, okay? And I don't like people we need to do things that there's a black and white, there's a trail, there's something we refer to. Go ahead.
Yes. Commissioner Doucette, I agree with you, but back to the CEO's point, and this is just my assessment from a person externally coming looking internally. They have no benchmark. They have no data set. They have no data. They share with us an hourly rate by job title, what the breakdown would be, and then they came up with an amalgamation of some type of number of hours about what it is they feel that would be reasonable for the services that they say they provided, for which we have no way to validate what those services was because we didn't get an itemized listing of what who did what, when, where, and how. Okay, so at this point, the only thing we can do is come to a point where we can actually set what the precedent is going to be moving forward. We have to come back, and I hate to use the word wash, but look at the figure they provided to us and track back from the data we put forward to come to a point where we can figure out what we think we need from them and then flip the script to them and say, hey, based on what you provided last year, based on the number of hours and who did what, this is our invoice to you or you to us on what we want you guys to pay for the service that we need for the EDC. Because we have no data point for them to reference.
But you know, and like I said in the beginning, you know, I never said no amount. All I've asked for was something that we have, that we got in the file, that if someone says, you paying this administrative fees to the city of Port Arthur, okay, yeah, what are they doing for you? And then you say, well, this is what they doing for us, and this is how much they charging us. If it's $300,000, I could care less. I don't have to worry about somebody came up with a magic, or somebody say, I think this is fair, or I think that's fair. You know, we don't do business that way. We do business with black and white so that we can justify our decisions to citizens, whereby we're not just sitting here and we compromising with someone or we want to just do something. Just do it. I don't care about the amount. I never stated amount. Never. In all my discussions, I never stated amount. I stated how I would like to see the business done. I just asked, give us a breakdown. If they provide a breakdown, if it's more, I've got no problems with it because we all vote on it as a board. And as she stated earlier, yes, I'm willing to work with the city, but asking for something to show, come on. And you say they won't? We don't pay unless we get. So this is not hard. Go ahead.
I think at this point, I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Doucette, what you're saying we've said. We've actually, 3 months or so we dealt with it. So we feel exactly where you are, so there's no argument there. But where we are right now, I believe the assessment that they've given is probably the best that they can do at this point. It's just a year contract that we would go into, and then with data being tracked, we'll be able to come back the following year and maybe assess that with some actual, what they've actually done. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree.
Board
Now that way, I could tell you right now, I could live with it. Because like I said, I'm coming in on the board, and I'm not here to try to say this is how we do business. I'm here to work with people. And if you feel that, hey, we fought that battle, Mr. D said, and, you know, and we're going to look into this, but next year when it comes to us, we're going to want something that's better. Now, they have a whole year. Guess what? It's acceptable to me. I'm here to work with people, but I'm not going to be here to just write off and rubber stamp.
Right.
I don't do that.
Right.
Okay.
And with that being said, let me make a motion
All right,
that we enter into a contract for administrative purposes with the city of Port Arthur
Okay.
For the duration,
for 1 year.
all right.
and I second that motion.
We're going to go with,
we
Jessica,
going with-
which one?
That's
The
fee?
6%.
6%.
Right.
We're going to go with the 6%.
6%. So do we need to restate that motion? Restate the motion, Darrell, please.
Okay. Again, I move that we enter into a contract for administrative purposes with the city of Port Arthur at 6% for 1 year.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Yeah, the next one is consent, item number 1.
So move.
To discuss the possible consideration approving the second and final renewal of the mowing contract with Joey's Tractor Service for the Spur 93 and Jade Business Park.
It's consent. You have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Next one's non-consent agenda, and I'd like to move number 4 up before number 1 to discuss possible consideration, a proposal with Arsenal, Wilson, and Cole for water and sanitary sewer evaluation as per 93 Business Park.
So moved.
And we have speakers.
You need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we have someone speaking on their behalf. Is that correct? Or no?
If you're going to move it up, we got to have a motion. and a
Oh,
second
do we, okay. I
To
didn't-
move it up.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved in second.
Motion carries.
That we move consent agenda item number 4 to number 1. All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Board, we would like to have AWC present tonight, this evening, the proposal for the evaluation of the water and sanitary sewer for Spur 93 Business Park, and we can discuss some of the details after the presentation.
You ain't got no ass behind your head? You ain't got no ass behind your head?
There it is, there it is, there it is. Good evening, Board. How are y'all?
Evening, how are you?
I'm doing well, doing well.
Good.
I'm Derek Graffinino with Arsenal, Wilson, and Cole. We were asked to give a little presentation, real brief, regarding the business park off of Spur 93. I'm going to give a brief description of the actual proposal for the water and sanitary sewer study itself. And then we have a GIS database and mapping software that kind of give a good overview of all the water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer systems within the business park. So we were we were approached for a meeting with the City of Port Arthur Water Utilities Department and the EDC staff with Jessica and Crystal, and what we came to conclusion and were asked to take a look at was the demands that are in the existing Spur 93 business park. And what we kind of concluded from our meeting was what is considered a non-standard user, or someone who uses, you would consider high demands in both water and sanitary sewer. So it came from a sanitary sewer issue for discharging at high demands that was causing some problems within the conveyance system. So the intent is to kind of look at both sanitary sewer and water, and within the business park, and kind of take a look and see what the existing demands are on the systems and how it can be affected, and obviously recommend some proposed options in order to improve that, to provide for both standard and non-standard users. So common practice is pretty typical for engineering design to use standard users, which is kind of based on a domestic or commercial usage, based on the land that's maybe out there, industrial users, and what you kind of apply as a factor for per acre on an undeveloped land to come up with certain water and sewer demands. And that's kind of what was used. I would assume this was done prior to us becoming involved back, I think, in 2002 or so. It's when some of this was started. So when you have a high user come in at that point, at any point within the system, it can create some unusual, I guess, you'd say demands and flows and drops and unknown pressure drops and fluctuation. So the intent is to take a look at the existing system, factor in any future or proposed upgrades, any future proposed improvements in the undeveloped lands, get a good picture and recommend some things. So the difference between non-standard, you have, it affects the water pressures in the distribution system, requires and can require more storage that's needed in the actual city system, and same thing for the business park. So the location is something that for a high user, non-standard user, that's important, that you need to take a look at without knowing in an undeveloped area what is there, what's going to be there. It's kind of makes it impossible to kind of know what you need to design for. So what I'm going to take a look at here, let's see. So GIS system. Just a second. So this is our in-house AWC has a GIS mapping software system, and what we're using is we're kind of giving you a good depiction is the sanitary sewer, which is represented in the yellow. You'll see the water is in blue. It shows the existing valves, fire hydrants, things of that nature. And then the storm sewer system is in the purple here. This is something that we're working on with the city right now, the contract for the master drainage study. We're mapping all of the conveyance system for the storm sewer. So some of this is from that data, from that information. You'll see sizes. These happen to be box culverts. It looks like a 4x3 RCB box culvert. Has some important data on upstream inverted information that's pretty useful. That's something that can be used for the EDC, as you would say, if someone comes, a new developer for some undeveloped property. It's just something that's easy to pull up, and you can kind of show them, hey, this is the system that's out there, this is what it's capable of, this is the size of the lines, kind of give them some some sort of direction to go in. So what we'll look at is the existing water system for the business park, which is looped on West Port Arthur Road here. You have a connection to existing 16-inch that goes down West Port Arthur Road, and it's also connected here at the South Business Park Drive with the same 16-inch. And then it's connected here, making it a loop system with a 12-inch that goes down Jade.
Where's our site? The
What's that?
requested site for MPW in accordance to the
They are right here.
16-inch?
They're right here. That is them.
Is that the MPW site?
That is.
And the 16-inch goes all the way to that site?
No,
I was going to say.
no,
so
ma'am. It's a 12-inch right in front
It's a
of you.
12-inch in front of it? Okay.
Yeah, the 16-inch ties in at South Business Park, heads straight west and goes south out to 365. This is all supplied by the elevated storage tank out there on 365. So what you'll see is within the business park, you have existing 8-inch, 12-inch, and 16-inch, which is pretty good sized lines.
Can you clarify for me where MPW has a 12-inch on their frontage and it goes directly to a 16-inch, or does it cross over an 8-inch line to the 16-inch?
No, it ties directly into the 12-inch right here, I believe, and then it comes down. You have a 12-inch on this side of, I believe, is that Richard Wyckoff, and you have Eli Roberts here, and it connects to the 12-inch here, as well as a 12-inch loop this direction, and there's your 16-inch that comes this direction. Comes out.
So it's 12-inch on the interior side and until it reaches one of the exterior roads?
Until you get to South Business
South
Park.
Business Park, okay.
There's one section of some smaller 8-inch up on this far end.
In your assumption, why would you think they would have put an 8-inch line in an industrial business park back in the day? I mean, I know it's just a guess, but
And it's only on one particular section. You could look at the property itself. It's not as deep, so maybe you don't have as much user you would expect out there to, I guess, accommodate for a demand that you may need for, I guess, say a 10-inch or 12-inch line. But it's only for a short section here and then down right there. But it is looped. It is looped.
But would you say that an 8-inch line fits for an industrial park at all?
You would have to run the model,
Right.
and you'd have to put in some
I mean, it
demands
just
in order to
doesn't
know.
seem like it makes sense to me. That's all I'm saying. It definitely is shorting out the property there for whatever potential use it could be in the future. Yeah.
On that end,
Yeah.
where that 8-inch is, but it functions as a whole, a loop system. So
Because it's looped, yes.
right, that does make a pretty big difference there.
Derek, you're talking about just the part the front part that's developed, we're doing that in, right? That back property, we're not doing anything with that we purchased last?
Which property?
The other property back on Jade? The
Oh,
other part-
further south?
Yeah, you're not doing anything with
This-
that?
So the study itself will take that into account, yes.
It will take that into account? Okay. So and the next question I would have is, and that's to the board, you know, when we have undeveloped stuff and we put in the surge and everything, normally another thing we take a look at is who goes in it. Because a lot of times some people go in to something, if they need more capacity, then a lot of time you incorporate that in their costs for them to add to the capacity. I mean, it's like any undeveloped property, because the property is developed at the time to hold what it has or what they predict. But as they see that it's not enough, then you can always upgrade, but they normally leave that to the people coming in to get that cost in to what they coming in, and you just did. In our particular case, since we controlling it all, we need to really take a look at it, because you can't come back, keep changing our design. We got to go with now a capacity that you could put anything in it. You know,
Also, CEO, when we start talking about that build out for those those bigger industries that we're looking to bring to this organization to diversify, we need to take that in consideration too, because if they don't have that infrastructure to handle that site survey stuff is going to have some conflicts. That's going to be a drawback to bringing them here.
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that sentiment, Board Member Smith. So equally, that's why we are working in coordination with MPW is requesting this because they are expanding their business practices and they have more, their request is more intake and output. So it's not just the sewer line, it's also the water line as well.
Well, a lot of time, though, that's what I'm saying too. You know, once we do this, we take into consideration what we're going to put in it. Oh, I'm sorry, we take into consideration what we're going to put in it. And then when we have somebody who's coming in that requires more, then we have to figure that off into the lease and let them take that cost. But when we design it like we're doing now, we got to design with, we know that we get the reasonable capacity for any type of business. You know, so when you get a business that's going to make you want to change your whole system, you don't just change it for one business. You got to have them to come in and pay the costs. Or you could pay some of it and have them to pay some of it. I know the city, that's what we do.
And that's why
we pay a portion, they pay a portion. If you're going to need more capacity than what we initially put out, because we put this out because we based on what we had developed, you know. So I just don't, let's not get into something now that ain't going to be obsolete in 2 years from now, and people be back to the drawing board, bringing somebody back out there and do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
The infrastructure, a bigger build.
Correct, absolutely, Mr. Smith. So my question is in this evaluation that AWC is doing, I would like for them to assess that 8-inch line, the spur for the 8-inch line. It might be looped, but still, is it feasible? Does that need to be upgraded to suit the future of the business park, as Mr. Smith is saying and Mr. Doucette is saying? So we do promote the evaluation. However, the city has retained AWC. Is it exclusively stormwater that the city is doing?
With us currently?
Yes.
For the GI, yes.
So I met with Derek, who is GIS director over at the city, and they do have the mapped infrastructure in their GIS system, and he did show it to us, and it's great. So in the future, they do want AWC to look at the overall city sewer water infrastructure as well, but our timing is not coordinating right now. So unfortunately, we will be doing this investment for them to do the evaluation of the business park for water and sewer. And then the city down the line will benefit from that with that small area that's already been completed. So like I said in prior conversation, we will definitely keep much more better financial tracking records on the give and take.
Invest in it. We got to invest
Yes.
For the future and pay one time. We can't just put in 6 now, and then 4 or 5 years from now, we want to come back, we got to increase the pipe, and now you got to go back and do the same thing now. We got to take a look at future development and possible usage, and then come up with something that we're going to put in there. It's always better to have more than what is required than to have not enough of what is required. You know, just like going to a party, you got to have more food and drink. You can't run out of food and drink. You can run out of music and that, but not food and drink. So in this particular case, we need to really take a look at that, Jessica, to ensure that we're building for future development out there, and we're going to do it right.
Absolutely.
So what we're looking at is also sanitary sewer collection system, which is something that, one slide up, which is something that I understand Mr. Doucette and the wanting to design for future above and beyond of what can come in. There is some things you have to consider, especially with sanitary sewer. You can't design for the ultimate, because you have to meet certain criteria for velocities within pipes and things like that. And then you have pump run times that lift stations are designed on, as well as ultimately the wastewater treatment plant, which is just exactly where the lift station, exactly where the lift station right there just south of the South Business Park pumps directly to the wastewater treatment plant. So there is a couple things you have to consider where you can't design for the complete ultimate, especially in something like sanitary sewer. But just know, you take a look at what the existing users that are out there now, you apply a certain factor when you design and take in the undeveloped future expanded costs and upgrades in the system. So our study will consist of the water system. We'll evaluate the existing system. We've already talked to the city about getting some records from them for the existing users. Take a look at any other high demand users that may be out there. And we'll model within our modeling software the existing users' average and peak flow demands. And determine any needs for future development, either it be system-wide in the business park and how it affects the actual water distribution system for a city put out there in the area. We want to make sure that the higher users, we know their potential future expansion needs. That way everything is kind of being met on both ends for non-standard and standard users. What we intend to do is provide options to ensure the pressures are maintained within the system, within the business park and within the city Port Arthur distribution system during peak hour demands, and as well as meeting any existing and potential user demands. The sanitary sewer system consists of the collection system, which will evaluate the gravity conveyance system that's within the business park. We talked to the city about basically sticking a camera down some of these lines, seeing if there's any blockages or anything else that may be leading to something that's restricting the flow, just to make sure and rule that out. And then we'll take a look at the existing lift station design and pumping capacities, as well as any other improvements with the same way as in the water. You're looking at future and existing demands in the same breath. So you'll also consider further downstream where the lift station is pumping to, which would be the wastewater treatment plant. So we'll see how all that is affected, taking into account the existing and the proposed future demands on all the undeveloped areas once it's fully built out. So we'll provide several different options for that and how we can accommodate and maintain.
Derek, this is I was just thinking about this lift station over here. That's in the business park.
Yes, sir.
And who's responsible for that? Who maintains it?
Maintain it's the city.
It is the
Yes.
city, okay.
So,
That's behind me, so I didn't know. So it is.
so can I put in a request with this assessment? Can you please, when you do go to the city and get the infrastructure plans, will you digitize them and provide us with a copy? It is our business park.
I think we already have all the plans.
The original plans?
Yeah, that's how
Okay.
we developed the
From the
GIS.
GIS? Okay,
Yeah.
can you provide a set for us from a digitized standpoint? We have the paper copies, but we don't have anything digital at
Okay,
all.
okay.
And they, when it was inquired, they said we could go review them, but we couldn't take them to digitize. We don't have a plotter, so we can't
Yeah,
digitize them.
it's quite a bit of plans.
I know, yeah. We do have the physical plans, but I'd love to have them digitized for perpetuity purposes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did y'all have any other questions? I was just trying to put together a brief summary of it. If not, I'll close it out. I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you. Thank you, and appreciate it.
I'm gonna just-
Where we at? Okay. Oh, sorry. No other speakers on that item? Good, okay. Let me see where we at. Okay, we back to number 1, to discuss possible consideration rectifying the interim executive director agreement of employment. And I would like to move this to executive session.
Oh, yeah.
Good, good.
Jerry, do you want to take an action on number 4?
Oh, okay. Yeah, may I get a motion?
So,
I move.
Make a motion.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
This is a-
motion carried.
Motion to approve this proposal, right? Okay.
Right.
What's that, Jessica? Look, your mic ain't on.
Jessica, do you want to make the motion?
Yes, so move to make the motion to approve AWC to do the evaluation of the business park sewer and water infrastructure in the amount of $26,950.
Chief?
Second.
Motion carried. Any,
It has been moved and seconded
Yep.
that we accept the proposal that the CEO has proposed to the board for consideration. All in
all in
favor?
favor? Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carried.
Motion carries.
Good.
Jerry, number 1?
Yep, ready? To discuss possible consideration rectifying the interim executive director agreement of employment, and this is, would like to be moved to executive session.
I make a motion that we move
To consult,
number 1 to the executive session.
to consult
Second
with
it.
legal counsel. The,
We have a motion and a second to move item 1 to executive session.
yes, and that would be under the exception for consultation with your
Yes.
attorney. Yes.
Okay? Thank you, Derek. To discuss number 2, possible consideration awarding a bid and approval and agreement for the security guard service at the Spur 93 Business Park.
So this is to re-up the contract for the security guard service agreement. And right now, we are in a gap. So the contract expired, and we do need to re-up this contract for security services at the business park. So they are serving as an at-will service provider right now.
Okay. I have a question.
Any questions?
Okay, question. When we say to discuss possible consideration for awarding, is that action? So we could take action on this when we discuss it?
Yes.
Okay.
Taking action on number 2, right?
Okay.
On number 2?
Okay, right, number 2. I just want to make sure that it says for possible consideration. I just want to make sure that it was actions, because if it's possible action, then we can actually act on it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I get a motion
I so move.
and second?
Second.
Have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Number 3, to discuss for possible consideration the advertisement of a request for proposal for PAEDC legal counsel.
Yes, Board. So we are ready to do an RFP for seeking legal counsel to represent the EDC. I do have a contact at the City of Houston. She is a senior assistant city attorney for the City of Houston. We have not made connection yet. We're playing phone tag. I am seeking, I have left voicemail with detail that we are seeking some referral information so we can solicit, say, hey, would you be interested in responding to the RFP? We would like to try to see if there is a viable option of seeking legal counsel closer than San Antonio. As much as Austin is here tonight, and we are grateful for that, it is a very long travel. I know I just came from the Victoria area, and San Antonio is much further than that. So we are looking to see if we can solicit for some professional legal services closer to us that may be able to be more in person and available for us. And I am seeking some professional consult from one of the senior assistant city attorneys with the city of Houston, who is a former colleague and friend.
Comments?
Yes. What we need to do a request for proposal. We need a scope, and I don't know why we should have had that here for us to approve this. When we look at what we're going to have and what we're asking people who apply, and then we get into the proposals, then we review them, and we come to the thing. That's the way we should do it, you know.
I believe the packet contains at least the outline that the RFP would take.
Okay,
Correct.
so what item is?
I think it's in the, kind of towards the back of your packet.
The back?
It's in the form of this memorandum.
Okay, let me
A is submission, B is scope of services.
see.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Smith wanted something added to that, and I think they did add that. Is that right, Christopher?
Yes, that's correct, they did, but
Good.
if you want to have time.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it, and I was very.
The scope?
Yes.
Okay, as long as we send out a scope and request,
it's-
that's cool.
And it is according to everything that
All
we
right.
talked about, correct? Okay. Okay, good, yeah, so, yeah, we scrubbed it.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve sending out a request for proposal for the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation Legal Counsel.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. We will now move to executive session, closed session, in order to comply with the requirements of Chapter 551 Open Meeting Law of the Texas Government Code. Prior to going into a closed meeting, the presiding officer to the city of Port Arthur, Section 4A, Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors shall make the following public announcement. A closed meeting of the executive session will be held pursuant to the following section of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Section 551071 Government Code, to discuss the attorney Frank Garza pending and potential litigation and/or legal service. Number 2, Section 551072 Government Code, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of property, real property. Number 3, Section 551074 Government Code, to discuss matter of personnel. Number 4, Section 551087 Government Code, to discuss incentives for commercial and industrial business prospects. That's it.
Right.
We move, go. Roll call, please.
Earl Anderson, Beverly Raymond, Christopher Smith, Rashad Harris, Harold Doucette, Jerry LaBeouf,
Here.
Rhonda Connor. You have a quorum.
Okay, hold on a second. We have one item we need a motion for. That was under, wait a second, hold on.
On consent agenda item number 1.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. It's gone.
I can make the motion if you want.
Jesus Christ.
I move that we
Okay.
make the motion to ratify the agreement between the interim CEO.
Second.
Motion and second has been approved. Any against? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Wait a second. This is to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's closed.